Big news actually just this morning out of Ukraine that they are now instituting rolling blackouts. Why? Because Russia has hit critical energy infrastructure and really devastated their ability to provide electricity and power for their nation. Let's go ahead and put this up on the screen. So this is from a day ago, and this is from the Kyiv Independent. They say Zelensky does not rule out potential failure of Ukraine's electricity system. Reason why? Let's go ahead and put this next piece up on the screen from the BBC. It's because Russia's been targeting electricity infrastructure all across Ukraine, causing major blackouts. So this number here, they say, Zelensky indicates at least 30% of Ukraine's power stations have been destroyed. As of this morning, the latest numbers say at least 40% of Ukraine's power stations destroyed. You can imagine how devastating that is. And especially, this is terrifying as they head into a very cold winter. Are they going to be able to heat their homes? Are they going to be able to do what they need to do? He's asking Ukrainians to conserve electricity, use only the bare minimum of what they absolutely need. And even with that conservation, has had to institute blackouts. He had also said contingency plans are being made for tackling the consequences of additional attacks on Ukraine's energy infrastructure, including in the case of the complete disabling of the electricity grid. So it wasn't that long ago, Saagar, that, in Kyiv, obviously things weren't back to normal, but people were living a more or less normal life, going out to parks, feeling a little bit insulated from the absolute worst of, what the early days of that war was for them and other parts of the country as well. And now this has been, I think, a deliberate attempt to scare and potentially shake the resolve and shake the confidence of the civilian population in Ukraine.
Yeah, I mean, no question, which is already, you're seeing rolling blackouts of up to 4 hours. And, I just went ahead and looked up. In the city of Kyiv today, the high is 43, okay? Woo! So that is it's a rough situation. So listen to this. This is a temperature analysis. The cold season in Ukraine lasts for 3.8 months, from November 18th to March 12th, with an average high of 39 degrees. In January, the average low is 21 degrees and a high of 30. So it's cold as hell in Ukraine. I've actually been to, not Ukraine, but the Baltic states in the middle of the winter. It is black as night for a large part of the day, and it is cold as hell. So I cannot imagine what it would be like to have no heating. So, it's not the German situation. It's far worse. If you lose 40% of your infrastructure already, this is one of the things the Russians, in a smart way, took control of those nuclear power plants, and by essentially occupying and shelling the area, scared the hell out of anyone to go even close to them, and so are cutting Ukraine off from some of its critical energy supplies. On top of that, those missile strikes it appears, have struck a much bigger blow. The Ukrainians initially said at first, they were like, oh, we're back to normal, it's all good. Now we're really seeing some of the damage that those strikes had, and highlights exactly why Ukraine is scrambling. Right now, they reached out to the Israelis just 2 days ago, and they're like, we need Iron Dome right now, the Ministry of Defense in Israel. And in a really interesting way, by the way, Israel has not given any aid to Ukraine, or at least meaningfully, and their Ministry of Defense said, quote, we will not sell any weapons to Ukraine. Interesting how they don't get any criticism of that.
Yeah,
right?
We have some amazing allies,
right.
Don't we?
Yeah.
We really found out what great allies we have during this war.
Right.
I mean, this isn't going to, these attacks on civilian energy infrastructure are not necessarily going to change the battlefield reality for Russia.
Right.
But they're a reminder that even as Russia continues to lose position and continues to suffer defeats on the battlefield, they can still inflict a whole lot of pain, and a whole lot of pain on the entire country. So yeah, if you're a Ukrainian facing down a freezing cold winter and, not sure whether you're going to have rolling blackouts, not sure whether you're going to have, electricity knocked down altogether. Yeah, that's a terrifying situation, especially if you have young children, especially if you are elderly, especially if you are sick or infirm in any sort of way. So it is a very frightening situation for them right now. And there is a battlefield difficulty for this as well. I mean, they've been relying on Elon Musk's Starlink. So that's provided, satellite-based, and so that's more difficult for them to be able to knock out. But other internet infrastructure infrastructure and connectivity has been down on a lot of the country as well. So their sort of ability to communicate is hampered potentially by these infrastructure attacks. So that's the latest of what's going on there. But they are not the only ones that are worried about their energy situation this winter. They have the most dire situation, let's be clear. Cable news is ripping us apart, dividing the country, making it impossible to function as a society, and making it impossible to know just what is true and what is false. But the good news is they are failing and they know it.
That is why we're building something new, a new mainstream, a healthier one, something more trustworthy, something that we are going to need in one of the most pivotal times in American history. We are building up here for the midterms, for the upcoming presidential election, but we need your help. So if you can help us out by becoming a premium member today at breakingpoints.com, we're trying to change America for the better and the entire world.
So what are you waiting for, guys? Go to breakingpoints.com and sign up and help us build a new mainstream.